Welcome back to the Deep Dive, the place where we don't just read the headlines. We really take the articles, the production notes, all the gossip, even academic critiques, and we try to pull out what you really need to know.
And today it feels like we're undertaking, I don't know, a piece of social archaeology, really. We're digging deep into the reality TV world of one very specific city, Charleston, South Carolina.
Yeah.
And the sources you've shared, they paint this incredible contrast, almost like a diptych, you could say, of romance in the holy city.
That's such a good way to put it. Because on one side, you've got this like fresh, hopeful, almost cinematic view of first loves, high school stuff. You know, sweethearts, it feels like sunshine and puppies.
Right, golden retrievers, maybe?
Exactly. And then, bam, the other side.
Yeah.
The established, really brutally messy and constantly scrutinized world of Southern charm. A universe that's just consumed right now by breakup interviews, these intense friend feuds, and a really deep critique of the toxic emotional stuff going on underneath.
It's that difference, isn't it? Between relationship milestones, you know, the promise of prom and graduation and relationship meltdowns.
Yeah.
Where you see grown adults dodging any kind of accountability, waging these little emotional wars through their separate podcasts or interviews.
Totally. It's that stark difference that makes Charleston such a fascinating case study right now.
Absolutely.
So our mission today is to really unpack this whole reality landscape. We need to understand not just, you know, who dumped whom, but why these relationships seem to implode under the camera's glare.
And how the media machine spins it, right? How it portrays these shifting emotional roles.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And most importantly, we're going to look critically at this like deeply ingrained culture of emotional accountability. Or maybe more accurately, the spectacular lack of it in this specific TV world.
Okay. Let's get into it.
Let's dive in. Okay, so let's start with the future, the shiny new thing. The sources bring us what looks like a total aesthetic palette cleanser. This upcoming reality series called Sweethearts, slated for Prime Video, February 13th, 2025. And it sounds like it's engineered almost to capture genuine feeling, which feels like the total opposite of the drama we usually get from Charleston reality shows.
And that expectation of genuine sentiment, that's really where we have to start analyzing, isn't it? This show is focusing on 6 high school couples navigating their senior year. So it's capturing that very specific moment of youth, transition, and what the sources call the bittersweet reality of impending goodbyes.
Bittersweet, yeah.
It's aiming for a universal emotional experience, not just, you know, another hyper-local social clique drama.
And the milestones they're hitting are huge, right? These are high-stakes life events for anyone, let alone teenagers.
Totally.
We're talking prom. The joy, the anxiety, graduation relief, finality, spring break chaos, and then the big one, college decision day.
Oof, yeah.
The format is literally capturing that pivotal moment where everything about your current life, your relationship, your whole trajectory is about to shift.
And what makes this, I think, incredibly important and what really separates it from that long-standing Bravo formula is the production company. Kinetic Content.
Oh, okay. That's key.
It's not a random choice. These are the folks behind giants like Love is Blind and Married at First Sight.
Right, the relationship experiment shows.
Exactly. When Kinetic's involved, you know the focus is going to be intensely on emotional stakes. They're masters at that.
That is such a great point. If you look at Kinetic's track record, they specialize in creating these high-pressure social experiments, right?
Yeah.
Designed to get immediate, profound, the sources say, relatable and heartfelt stories.
Relatable and heartfelt.
They're experts at forcing deep emotional engagement, speeding up commitment or, you know, collapse. Applying that kind of pressure cooker to high school relationships, they must be banking on capturing that pure, high-voltage drama of first love hitting the wall of adulthood.
It's definitely calculated emotional storytelling. They're not really interested in just chronicling rich kids' parties. They want the feeling of first love and inevitably impending heartbreak.
And the format itself reinforces that intensity, doesn't it?
Oh.
All 10 episodes dropping at once. The binge watch model.
Which is critical, yeah, because it forces you, the viewer, to consume that whole emotional journey, the relationship arc in one go.
Right. No waiting a week for the tension to dissipate or for internet spoilers to ruin it.
Exactly. They want you hooked immediately on whether these couples make it or break it.
And, you know, just like Southern Charm, the setting itself is a character. Charleston is being, like, repackaged here.
How so?
Well, the source material really emphasizes the stunning scenery, the sunset boardwalks, the sun-soaked beaches. It's presenting this beautiful, romantic backdrop for what's probably going to be a difficult emotional ride.
Ah, okay. Contrasting maybe the sometimes gritty, rundown party aesthetic we see on Southern Charm with this aspirational beauty of youth, selling the perfect high school dream.
Exactly. Selling the dream.
And the central conflict, as the producers frame it, is that uncertainty of adulthood. These 6 couples have to grapple with huge decisions about their future, who stays, who goes, and what the future holds.
Yeah.
So this show is really presenting the end of high school love, that transition into the great unknown, as this crucial, universally relatable turning point.
So, okay, we've got this clean, almost aspirational, emotional show focusing on genuine transition, growth. It feels entirely distinct from the adult world we usually see documented, where frankly, growth is often avoided, transition is feared.
And the relationships are long-term, established, and, let's be honest, often deeply unhealthy.
Right. Sweetheart seems to be about forging an identity.
That's
the adult drama we're about to get into, it feels more like it's about perpetually avoiding identity.
It's youth versus, well, calculated, comfortable, perpetual adolescence.
That's the perfect bridge.
Yeah.
Speaking of perpetually avoiding identity, let's pivot hard now to the established drama engine, Southern Charm, because the sources are just overflowing with fallout, especially around the collapse of what everyone called the it couple, Craig Conover and Paige DeZorbo.
Ah, yes, the Will and Kate of Bravo.
That was the nickname. Okay, let's try and unpack this very messy transition.
Well, this was a 3-year relationship, right? Everyone just assumed marriage was on the horizon. And sources give us Craig's very detailed, though clearly one-sided story about how it all imploded.
Definitely one-sided.
It's a classic case study in how reality stars try to manage a breakup narrative in public.
And his narrative is all about being completely blindsided, which immediately creates this tension, doesn't it, between his public image and what he says was his private reality. He claims the relationship ended over the phone 2 days after what he called a fantastic Thanksgiving holiday together.
2 days? Wow.
And the phone call came, this is such a reality TV detail, just moments before he was supposed to go on stage for his Pills and Beer live show.
Oh, come on.
Right. He called the timing the opposite of impeccable.
Yeah, you think. I mean, that timing isn't just poor. It suggests either a deep lack of emotional consideration or maybe a strategic move to control how the news breaks.
How so?
Well, if you drop a bomb like that right before your partner has to perform publicly, you almost guarantee a reactive emotional narrative from their side first.
Ah, good point. And Craig admitted his initial reaction was denial. He kept quiet publicly, hoping they might get back together.
Which makes the later public contradictions even more painful for him, presumably.
Right, because the contradictions are glaring. We know Craig had hinted about rings and engagements on Watch What Happens Live WWHL on December 12th. That's well after this supposed Thanksgiving breakup call.
Okay, so that suggests either the show was pushing a fake storyline or Craig was maybe desperately trying to manifest a reality that just didn't exist anymore, holding on to hope.
He tried to clarify that later in interviews. He claimed that after that WWHL appearance, he went to her apartment and she told him to keep the ring he'd apparently gotten.
Keep the ring.
Yeah, supposedly joking, like, maybe we'll get married at BravoCon someday. And then just 2 days after that, she announces the final breakup on her podcast.
Wow. Okay, that sequence really does suggest a calculated public relations move by Paige, making sure she controlled the platform where the definitive news broke.
And this detail is so crucial because it completely undermines the public statement that the split was mutual.
Yeah, Craig clearly didn't feel it was mutual.
Not at all. He said he wouldn't have left her. He was still ready to fight for it. He actually theorizes that Paige calling it mutual was maybe her attempt to save face for him.
Like to protect his ego publicly?
Right. Even if that protection actually caused him more pain because it hid the truth of his shock and hurt.
And you can see his reaction to that public narrative playing out, especially in his critique of her later appearances.
Definitely. He said he was really hurt by how she apparently acted during CNN's New Year's Eve show. John Hamm brought up the breakup, and Craig felt Paige seemed happy and excited about it.
Ouch. That perception would sting.
Yeah. And he dismisses her later negative comments about the relationship as just pandering to the internet, like seeking validation instead of expressing genuine feelings.
It's that classic reality star trap, isn't it? The second the relationship's over, the battle begins over who wins the public narrative.
Absolutely. But Craig seems determined to move on now. He's apparently dating someone new, Natalie Buffett, reportedly.
That's the rumor, yeah. She was supposedly at a recent WWHL taping.
And he's publicly closed the door, very explicitly saying, once a chapter ends, he doesn't look back. He even made sure to mention exes like Naomi Olindo in that context.
So he's trying to project this clean, forward-moving image after page, resetting his own narrative.
Exactly. Okay, now let's shift gears slightly to another relationship mess. Shep Rose and the whole Sienna Taylor aftermath.
Ah, Shep. This one involved maybe less public posturing and more internal confusion, but just as much misrepresentation, it sounds like.
Misrepresentation is the perfect word. Shep apparently rolled up to that Bahamas trip thinking he and this woman Sienna were exclusive, serious. But the sources reveal he'd only actually seen her, like 6 times total.
Dumps. And he thought they were exclusive.
Apparently. Which led to this palpable tension on the trip.
Yeah.
His friends, like Craig, openly said they felt misled by how Shep had hyped up the romance.
You can imagine. The reception must have been icy. Craig noted there was zero connection or energy or chemistry.
None. And Sienna, who was clearly blindsided by the whole reality TV aspect that Shep hadn't properly prepared her for.
Right, that intensity.
She apparently said she didn't sign up for this. The show just demands too much intimacy too fast. It seems like it scared her off.
That makes sense. It's a lot to handle if you're not used to it.
And then, in classic Shep fashion, his attempt to process these adult feelings resulted in that totally cringeworthy, self-aggrandizing text message.
Oh God, the romance novelist text.
The infamous text. The fact that he sent it while he wasn't sleeping and somehow concluded from that one message that he could be an excellent romance novelist, it just screams delusion, arrested development.
It really is the perfect illustration of that Peter Pan syndrome in action, isn't it? Avoid the genuine emotion by immediately twisting it into some grandiose, narcissistic fantasy.
Totally. He can't just be sad or rejected. He has to be this secret, brilliant writer whose genius is just misunderstood.
It's wild.
And what's almost equally revealing about the group's priorities is the reaction to that financial dig.
Oh, right. Whitney's comment.
Yeah. Whitney Sudler-Smith, whose own status, let's be real, is tied entirely to his mother's wealth, suggested Shep wasn't rich enough for Sienna.
Okay.
And Shep's reaction wasn't to defend the relationship or shrug it off. No, he found satisfaction, genuine satisfaction, in reporting later that the guy who funded Sienna's business idea, some Denver Bronco player, had been relegated to the practice squad.
Wow.
Yeah.
That little detail tells you everything about the values of this boys' club, doesn't it?
Everything.
Financial status, career achievement, or even better, the downfall of a rival's achievement. That's the currency. It trumps emotional maturity, genuine connection, everything. It's just a constant status check within the group.
Although on a slightly more mature note, Shep did apologize to Taylor. He acknowledged it was unfair to compare her to Sienna, saying they were at different points in life.
Okay, well, that's something, I guess. Growth, maybe?
A tiny sprout.
And Molly O'Connell confirmed she and Shep hooked up twice, but she kind of defended him, focusing on the fact that he's trying to better himself.
Which, honestly, when trying to better himself is the defense.
Yeah.
You know the bar is pretty low.
Exactly. We are deep in the weeds here.
Okay, so this is where we need to shift focus a bit. From the romantic breakups, which are messy enough, to the core structural problems within the male friendships themselves. Because this is where the cultural toxicity of the show just becomes blindingly obvious.
Yeah.
And here's where it gets really interesting, I think. We have to analyze the group's reaction to Austin Troll's genuine attempts at emotional growth this season. Right. Austin has actually been making some significant efforts. He's actively in therapy. He's talking about his feelings. He's even openly discussed the deep trauma from his past, the tragic death of his older sister, Kyle, back in 1994 when she was only 9.
That's huge vulnerability, especially in that environment.
Huge. And the sources point out his visible commitment to growth. He has a new girlfriend. He seems to be prioritizing his health, trying to reconnect meaningfully with his old friends.
So what happens when a man in this particular group dares to show that kind of vulnerability? When Austin expressed sadness, just simple sadness, that he missed the close friendship he used to have with Craig.
Just wanting basic friend time, like watching football together.
Exactly. A simple expression of loss, a desire for connection. And Paige and Craig mocked him relentlessly.
And the mockery was specifically rooted in that toxic gender policing, wasn't it?
Absolutely. They belittled his emotions, suggesting he was somehow gay or feminine for daring to express sadness over losing a platonic male bond.
It's such a profound moment of toxicity because it just lays bare the immediate defense mechanism this group uses against vulnerability.
Right. If you show any feeling that isn't anger or, like, performative indifference, you risk being accused of not being man enough.
And this is the exact pattern that just keeps that Peter Pan syndrome going. Right. Austin seeks professional help, opens up about trauma, says he values his friends, and boom, he's immediately shamed for it.
That mockery actively reinforces the damaging idea that men should just bottle everything up, which leads directly to the self-destructive behaviors, the constant partying, the emotional avoidance that this cast is already infamous for.
And the irony is just staggering when you look at who actually showed some humanity in that moment. Shep Rose, the same guy who sent the romance novelist text who's avoided commitment for years. He was the one who showed, according to the sources, more emotional intelligence. He actually thought Austin missing his friend was sweet.
When Shep is your voice of emotional reason, I mean, it just tells you how fundamentally broken that dynamic is. The bar is on the floor.
It really is.
And we have to connect this back to the broader critique of Paige that the sources raise. They are absolutely critical, accusing her of holding these toxic views on masculinity.
Yeah, she actively mocks men for having emotions. Right.
Yeah.
Reinforcing the damaging boys shouldn't cry narrative, contributing directly to the very culture she sometimes seems to criticize from the outside.
And her behavior, according to these critiques, isn't just about gender policing men. She's also accused of being misogynistic towards other women.
Like the constant slut-shaming of Lindsay on Summer House.
Exactly. Or her super judgmental reaction, that infamous eye roll to the penis cookie at a birthday party.
Right.
Critics argue she kind of weaponizes terms like misogyny or feminism only when it suits her, like defending herself in a breakup. But then she actively undermines other women and emotionally expressive men when they step outside her narrow definition of what's acceptable.
It feels like she got the ick, as they say, from Craig showing emotional needs. And that was a huge factor in their split.
And look, Craig's a grown man. He has to take responsibility for his own issues, his own infantilization sometimes.
Sure.
But their dynamic, as portrayed, actively rewarded belittling vulnerability, and that sets a really awful example for the huge audience watching.
Okay, now let's turn to the latest source of immaturity and deflection.
Duh.
The whole JT debacle.
Oh, boy. JT.
This is like a masterclass in lying, ghosting, and then playing the victim when you get caught red-handed.
It started with that Jamaica phone call, right? Madison and her husband Brett called JT just wanting some clarity about Madison's drunk night. A simple request for context from a friend.
Totally reasonable.
But JT later spins this. He frames it as them asking intimate questions that made him uncomfortable. And then this is the key move he strategically implies to the other cast members, that Brett was just being jealous or insecure.
Classic deflection. Turn the tables, make yourself the victim.
Exactly. Deflection 101.
Yep. And Madison's response, as the sources detail it, was the perfect takedown of that victim narrative. She pointed out very directly, if my husband was jealous, I wouldn't be filming with my ex Austin. I wouldn't be on cast trips without him.
Boom. That instantly exposed JT's defense as just a transparent attempt to save face, to paint himself as this like delicate southern flower being attacked by a concerned friend and her husband.
But the really deep dishonesty came with the whole Vanita and the secret girlfriend timeline. That reveals a truly calculated effort to hide the truth.
Okay, walk us through that again.
So JT was apparently seeing another girl during filming, but kept it totally secret from the group.
Okay, shady.
Then, after filming wrapped around September or October, he starts dating Vanita. Based entirely on his claim that he and the secret girlfriend were not together anymore, he created this false impression that he was available.
Got it. He lied by omission, at the very least.
Big time. And the whole thing blew up when the super teaser trailer for the season dropped on October 28th.
Wow.
The secret girlfriend sees it, realizes what's been going on, and immediately DMs Vanita, calling her a goddamn rat.
Oh, wow. Poor Vanita.
Right. Vanita is understandably upset, realizing she was unknowingly part of this love triangle. She asks JT to do something, take some responsibility, clear the air.
A reasonable request.
He refuses, flat out refuses to act. So Vanita tells him she needs a week. Just a week of space to process the drama and figure out what to do.
A clear boundary. 7 days.
And what was JT's response to this totally reasonable request for space after he created the mess? He claimed Vanita ghosted him, express profound hurt feelings about being abandoned.
Are you kidding me?
Nope. It's truly absurd. He lies, he gets caught, he refuses to take responsibility, his partner asks for a week to think, and he's the one claiming abandonment.
It completely cements that perception. The source mentioned that JT acts like a toddler showing up and showing out when he's with his friends, expecting absolutely zero consequences for being deceitful.
But the absolute worst part, the most revealing detail in this whole mess, was JT's defense when accused of being a fake boy.
Right. What'd he say again?
He defended his honor by claiming, and I'm quoting here, "I didn't F her," referring to Venita.
Oh, that's... wow.
It's cheap, it's degrading, and it's intensely misogynistic, isn't it? By saying his non-affect boy status depends entirely on the lack of sex, he instantly cheapens Venita, cheapens whatever connection they had.
He basically relegates her to a category where their entire relationship didn't even count because it wasn't physical in that specific way.
Exactly. Venita was absolutely right to be disgusted. It reveals someone who seems to only value women based on their sexual utility and who's completely incapable of acknowledging the emotional connection he was the one pursuing.
That's a really ugly look.
Okay, so zooming out from these individual dramas, what does it all mean? When we step back, the sources lay out this really comprehensive cultural critique. They suggest there's a root cause, like a structural toxicity, at the very heart of Southern charm that allows and maybe even rewards this kind of behavior.
And that root cause seems centered in Charleston society itself, or at least the slice of it shown on TV, rewarding what the sources call perpetual immaturity and self-indulgence.
Peter Pan syndrome.
Clear as day. Peter Pan syndrome. The men on this show, with very, very few exceptions over the years, have been financially and socially rewarded for dodging emotional accountability. They're wealthy enough, connected enough to just maintain their adolescence indefinitely.
And the sources point the finger pretty squarely at one person who allegedly fosters this whole destructive culture. Patricia Altschul.
Naming her the true villain of the series?
The true villain. The critique is basically that she's the puppet master. She enables the misogyny, enables the toxicity, all while carefully polishing this public image of being a delightfully acerbic Southern grand dame.
And this isn't a new critique, right? The sources trace it back. She allegedly fostered this environment right from the start by essentially bullying a very young Catherine Dennis, who was only 21 at the time.
Right, labeling her a scandal for dating around, which is just classic social shaming.
But more critically, Patricia apparently suggested that Catherine, the young woman, was the one manipulating Thomas Ravenel.
A middle-aged convicted felon, decades older than Catherine.
Exactly. To frame it that way, that the young woman was manipulating the established, powerful, older man that set a really dangerous precedent for the show's entire moral compass.
It basically taught everyone watching, and the cast itself, that the men are always the protected ones. And the women, especially if they're younger or less socially connected, are always suspect, always the potential problem.
And this behavior isn't just ancient history, according to the sources. It's on-bearing. Patricia recently scrutinized Shep's ex, Sienna Evans, calling her a stalker.
A stalker? For what?
Simply for matching with Patricia's own son, Whitney Sedler-Smith, on the dating app, Raya.
Get out. Matching on a dating app makes you a stalker now.
Apparently, if you match with Whitney, think about that power dynamic. A wealthy, established, older woman publicly policing the online dating activity of a younger woman, slapping extreme labels on her just because she dared to match with her son.
It's bizarre. It's like she's the ultimate gatekeeper, scrutinizing every woman who tries to enter their orbit. But she has zero equivalent standards for the men's behavior, including her own son, Whitney.
Who is the show's executive producer.
Right.
And this is the critical, almost Freudian twist in the analysis presented. Whitney, who's nearly 60, allegedly just coasts off his mother's financial and social capital, and the sources claim he's unwittingly putting his mommy issues on display by insidiously making his mother the villain. He's the EP, he has production control, yet he facilitates this narrative that consistently reveals the deepest flaws in their social structure, essentially enabling his mother to be the cultural judge who punishes any woman challenging the boys' club.
So it's the ultimate self-perpetuating cycle.
Yeah.
And the claim is that this exact culture, this boys' club that Patricia apparently relishes and defends, is the precise reason that almost every single woman from the original main cast has left.
Cameron, Chelsea, Naomi Leva, Catherine.
All gone. They didn't leave just because of ratings or wanting something new. The argument is they left because they literally outgrew the toxicity.
They chose personal growth, maybe stability, emotional health, overstaying in an environment that seems to thrive on immaturity and actively punishes vulnerability.
Yeah.
The long-term format of Southern Charm has, historically, rewarded the men who lie, cheat, avoid commitment, and as we just discussed with Austen, actively mock their friends for showing basic human feelings.
That structure guarantees them more airtime, more attention.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which ensures that the next generation of reality stars like those young couples on Sweethearts would face immense pressure to conform to this toxic blueprint if they ever crossed over into that older Bravo universe.
Wow. What an incredible contrast this deep dive has laid out for us.
Mm-hmm.
On one hand, we've analyzed this tightly controlled, maybe aspirational drama of Sweethearts. It's focusing on the genuine emotional turmoil of growing up, facing real choices.
And on the other, we've really scrutinized the deeply complex, often toxic, and let's face it, highly profitable world of Southern Charm, where emotional accountability seems to be consistently the first casualty.
Yeah.
The established format rewards evasion, doesn't it? Craig and Paige fudged the truth about their breakup for narrative control. JT hid relationships, then cheapened Vanita to save face. Austen gets mocked by his supposed best friends for going to therapy and valuing connection.
That structural toxicity, which seems enforced by the show's internal power structure and its social matriarch, that's what makes the future of the Charleston reality scene so fascinating to think about.
Mm-hmm.
Sweethearts promises this emotional journey of growth, of change for those young couples. It's positioned as a celebration of taking those first big steps into adult life.
And that leads us right to the provocative thought we want to leave you with today. Considering how the culture we've seen documented in Southern Charm seems so determined to punish men who show emotional growth and health like Austen, while consistently rewarding those who lie, avoid commitment, and deflect like Shep and JT. Yeah.
What happens when those high school sweethearts couples, if they were to continue filming into adulthood, inevitably face that pressure? The pressure to conform to Charleston's established boys' club narrative we just talked about.
Is a new, more emotionally accountable era even possible on this kind of reality television? Or will that reward system, the one that financially and socially favors perpetual adolescence, will that always ultimately win out?
Something to think about.
Yeah.